floating where the river goes. Could I have it my way? Will the river see? Oh no, it's moving forward. Oh no, where will it lead? Oh no, it's moving forward. Oh no, where will it lead? I grew up in a household where binge drinking and partying was the norm, and that was the norm for me too. What happened though is I found that when I was drunk, I was angry most of the time. I don't know if it was anger from my childhood or if it was pent up emotions. I'm dealing more with those now, but then I didn't know what it was. I just liked to drink. I got blackout drunk probably every third or fourth time that I drank because, again, in my household with my family, it was you drank until you passed out. That was just, and if there was no more alcohol, they would drive somewhere and find alcohol, and unfortunately, I've done that too. When I did wreck my vehicle and got that DUI, I could have killed somebody. And I'll be honest, I've driven many times before under the influence and had nothing bad happen. So, but that was one of the first times being laid up without a license and with the breathalyzer and the whole sort of thing where I started thinking about what I was doing.
I could see at the time that my life was changing slowly, but I didn't do anything to change it. I became addicted to morphine at the age of 23. And my mother always says, you know, Leanne, it's weird, don't you think, that you became addicted to painkillers? You know, just the name itself is painkillers.
Yeah, I was addicted. I was smoking a lot of pot in those days, and I was drinking too, and I was getting in trouble all the time, so. Yeah, I was hooked. And I wasn't taking my medication either in those days. So I was in jail for 4 days, and then they brought me over here, and I've been here for 11 months now. So I hope the next thing is I go out. So I want to see my children again and my grandchildren.
I asked to go into the hospital. I was always drinking and I was always drunk, so finally I asked to be admitted, and I ended up here in North Bay, and I've been here since November of last year. So it's going to be a year in November that I've been here. Detox was really tough because I couldn't smoke and I couldn't drink either. I still have an addiction to smoking though, but I don't know, I'll eventually quit smoking.
Addictions is not a choice or a sign of somebody's weakness. It's an illness. It's an illness that can happen to anybody at any time. It's not a question of somebody's character or their strength.
All the terrible things that I have.
Many patients who come to us have the challenge of having to address their substance abuse while we're caring for their serious mental illness, and that is no easy task. We have the resources available to them, either individually or in a group setting, for them to gain some insight into their substance abuse issue. Typically, those issues have led to their hospital admission, and so it's very important for us as an organization to treat both issues simultaneously. It's essential for our team to recognize that it's very important for our patients to remain hopeful. And so the approach has to be positive. It has to be focused on giving our patients the tools that they need in order to succeed. photoVOICE is a terrific opportunity for our patients to express themselves creatively. They can begin to explore and address and maybe even resolve some of their inner conflict.
The power of photoVOICE is remarkable. They take pictures that educate us. It's a way of creating conversation and talking about their recovery, talking about what they need to do, what steps they need to take.
photoVOICE provides a means to help guide the journey, providing a picture of where they want to be, their personal goals that they can reflect on to encourage them along the way.
We really want to make sure that when we're dealing with people that we're really providing a holistic approach that's looking at the full person, that really suits where people are at today.
It's very important that they're an active participant in their care plan because this is their plan, this is their path. We always take an approach that we are client-centered, and that means we look at the patient, we look at what their needs are, and we provide them with things that are going to help them.
We often look at addiction as simply saying, just take the drugs away. Why can't you just stop doing it? It's bad for your health, and that understanding should be all it takes. The reality is, and the more that we get the better understanding is, that this is a more complicated process and somewhat like a disease process. At the end of the day, at some point in time, we as a society have to show that we care. If we can't demonstrate that empathy towards individuals, to take that information that we learn to apply to them, it's going to go nowhere. We're not going to save everybody. We may not even save people that are close to us. But when we make an effort, we show that we care, we're going to make connections, and we're going to give people that chance. If they don't get a chance, then we're not going to be able to do anything.
It took a long time for me to accept that the drugs had done this much damage to me. And now that I'm in the program, you start to think, yeah, okay, like I might be able to do this. And you become more and more hopeful for the future.
There are times when I look at my past and I rationalize it. And I find ways to explain it as, oh, it was just because, and it was just because of all of these things. But I think that's part of the mechanism, isn't it? I think that's part of what makes it an addiction, is that it finds its way into your mind to, just like this boy in this household growing up, to make it to be okay. It was okay. Well, it wasn't okay. Being in the hospital now for these last couple of years, it's been really interesting. You may think that it's sort of captivity in a sense, but it really isn't. I have an entire team of people that are dedicated to my wellness. And it's designed for people to rebuild their lives. Just because you have a mental illness or just because you have an addiction doesn't mean you don't deserve to be happy, and it doesn't mean you can't be happy.
Hello, this is the rest of your life calling. Did you forget about the dreams you had when you were 3'2"?